Hey guys, it's me again. And, I'm not really making this video to really persuade anybody who doesn't want to. But if you're watching this video and you're at a point in your life where you're like, I feel like I could probably live alone, take this as your message to go ahead and go do that. Just go take the shot, take the dive, take the plunge, get it done, man. I swear it's been an experience that hasn't always been the best, or I haven't always felt has treated me fairly, but it's still been one of the most interesting and best experiences, at least in the departments of personal growth, that I've ever had. And I'll explain in a little bit, but I kind of wanted to explain my history going into it. You know, it's really weird. I'd say before I was like 20 or 21, I was pretty comfortable being alone most of the time. I don't remember being too bummed out about being alone a lot. I was still living at my parents' house. The situation at home was pretty fucked, but at the time. But I don't really remember having like a sense of community, right? But someone showed interest in me. By the time I was 20, all that kind of went out the window. By the time I was 21, we were dating, and everything kind of flipped. And I found that over time I became extremely codependent, and that was very evident by the time I moved in here. Now, again, I'd had a sense of living independently with people, of course, but that's definitely not the same as living alone. I still think there's kind of an emotional buffer there because you're at least not the only person that's going to be stressed out in hard times. But when you're living alone, again, it's like it's all on you. But I first moved in here and I couldn't stand to be alone. Like I've said in the past, I came from like a pretty messed up situation, got broken up with, just moved straight into here. That breakup was fresh. I mean, absolutely oozing fresh when I signed the lease here. And I just took a lot of walks, but of course I was alone, but I had something to preoccupy me. I started within that first month or 2 months, maybe 3 months, I had started noticing things about me that I really didn't like, that I didn't even notice about myself before. I didn't like how avoidant and escapist I was. It wasn't like too uncommon for me before to just kind of check out on my responsibilities for a few months and then try to pop back up and make everything right. That's just the way I rolled back then. And I mean that in like a financial sense. Like, I wouldn't pay my bills for months, and I'd like just stack up racks, spend like a fool, come back to it, and just have all the money up front. I was at least smart about it, so I had at least a little more leveraging power than maybe someone calling that had nothing, trying to make penance with the energy company or the credit union for the auto loan or whatever. But that bothered me for a while. Like, I didn't like how flaky I was with things like that. Like, obviously, who would want to be in a relationship with someone that's gonna flake out on responsibilities like that? That's not what normal people do. And that's not what rational, competent adults do, especially in today's society. But I really feel like when you move in, and I feel like if you have like a lot of baggage and you feel like it's not going to be dangerous to not have any distractions, I seriously recommend going like your first year alone without any like internet or anything. No cable, no internet. It really forces you to like work on things. Like, you know, if you're like working on like heavy things like I was. But here's why I really think everybody should live alone at least one time in their life, and might as well make it sometime in their 20s. Again, like, I grew up not in a happy house, but my needs were met, and it was very sheltered because the way my mom grew up was rough, and she went a little overboard. So, it's actually starting to get annoying, y'all. I'm gonna change it to yellow, I think, for the remainder of the video. I thought it was gonna be like cheeky and cool, but I just can't do it anymore. You know, anyways, living alone, it really put me in a position where I had to address a lot of things that I didn't even first and foremost know that were messed up in my own personal life, right? I had to get that done. So it just really pressed me on it. Secondly, it's done wonders for my social anxiety to the point where I feel like I can pretty much just exist in normally small talk with just complete strangers now, which is incredible because like 8 years ago, speaking like in a group setting would have shut me up. I just had horrible anxiety. But when you're in a situation where you're responsible for your own well-being and survival, you have to be willing to fight because, you know, the world's a cutthroat place. You're either going to piss or get off the pot because I know there'd be someone else just willing to move up in here and take up residency in this place I used to call home. So, I can't afford to be afraid anymore, really, is the thing about it. On top of that, like we've already kind of brushed on before, it kind of gives you an idea of things maybe you didn't like that you didn't even know were personality traits or possible character flaws. And it gives you like a chance to really gives you a chance to value what you want in life. I feel like it's something people should do at least by their mid-20s. I feel like the earlier you do it, the better. Because on top of that, it's instilled a lot of humbleness in my life, as well as a lot of humility that comes with that humbleness. But, you know, on top of that, there's just a sense of pride knowing you can, like, continuously keep this up. And then once you do that alone, you know, I won't lie, I feel alone a lot. But the difference is now I don't really focus on it anymore. Because before, it was something I was trying to fill with the presence of a person. And now it's just something I'm trying to find ways to preoccupy myself. Because if I'm gonna be alone, I might as well find things I want to do, right? And I think that's a good thing too, because, you know, not only is it instilling structure into your life about keeping your place clean, but you have a lot of time to just explore things that you want to explore, and I think a lot of people would find a lot of value in that. So live alone once in your life if you've been thinking about it. It's scary, but it's worth it, and it's really rewarding at times. So, do your thing.